engage with me because he knows that I would tell him the reason Havel been pwned isn't a valid source for his claim that his email doesn't appear in Ashley Madison data leak is that the leak is not publicly searchable and Havel been pwned. Ashley Madison. In July 2015, the infidelity website Ashley Madison suffered a serious data breach. The attackers threatened Ashley Madison with the full disclosure of the breach unless the service was shut down. 1 month later, the database was dumped, including more than 30 million unique email addresses. This breach has been classed as sensitive and is not publicly searchable, although individuals may discover if they've been impacted by registering for notifications. Read about this approach in detail. Here's how it's done. This one, unfortunately, debunks a little bit of the, well, anyone could have registered my email address back in 2014. It wasn't me. It was Antifa Super Soldier. Chris Rufo had a bad week last week. Originally, his own fan base was coming after him when it was revealed that he, in fact, had married and brought into the country someone who was an undocumented immigrant to the United States. The very people that he vilifies professionally as part of his career consistently happens to be part of his family. But that notwithstanding, yes, he can be the king of the hypocrites. But then there's the other part, the whole whether or not he, in fact, was part of the new Ashley Madison data dump leak. Now, it was reported that he was part of that leak, and then he has subsequently gotten very mad about it. He said that it's slanderous, that this is not true. He was never a member of Ashley Madison, that anyone can sign up someone else's email. And as a result of that, it's something like the Babylon Bee came to his defense, and they were just like, yeah, this is a common tactic where, leftist Antifa members will sign up right-wingers when they find out their email addresses to a bunch of different accounts. It's how right-wingers end up on all these gay dating sites. It's not true. And then part of me was also like, so can you tell me which gay dating sites you've been accidentally signed up for and registered? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is not a tactic that people can do, which they absolutely can. I have had, attempts to hack every single Serfs-related email I've ever put out there in any way, shape, or form. I've had an attack successfully on one of them where once they discovered the email's redirected email, they basically signed me up for like 1,000 newsletters. It felt like it was a bot that had done it, but all of a sudden your inbox is just flooded with newsletters, kind of thing. So those are things you can sign up for where I, on my end, didn't need to verify it. And so it was just like, you signed up for this mailing list. You signed up for this mailing list. And the kind of shit like that. Opt-in bomb things, that's happened to me so many times. It fucking sucks. It's very tedious to try and you have to go through, set up filters, make sure blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So that does suck. It's not something you can do. But to be registered on like a website where you need to create an account, you need to have email verification, you most likely have to eventually submit IDs, stuff like that. It seems to be a little bit more complex than simply someone using your publicly, or not publicly, but they've discovered your email and then trying to sign you up for something. Email address belonging to conservative activist Christopher Rufo had allegedly been found registered to Ashley Madison, a site meant for married people seeking affairs. Meanwhile, political consultant Lauren Windsor took to X to share some posts about the same. In her first tweet, she wrote, "Are there other prominent conservatives on Ashley Madison? I may know one. Follow me for updates." The tweet made after she reshared an article by Politico based on the news that Mark Robinson's email address was found on the controversial online dating site. After the first tweet made it on September 20th, Windsor posted another in 2 parts. The first part she wrote, "Email address belonging to conservative Chris Rufo was found in the Ashley Madison data dump." The second part read, "It's possible that someone else registered his emails to the site," which is true, but I confirmed that the registered email is active and his. How? I emailed Rufo for comment to that email and he responded, which is also something that happened. Windsor claimed that she had mailed Rufo's in the email that she got after the discrete dating site website. According to Windsor, Rufo answered through a separate email address. All these allegations prompted Rufo to respond. He said, "This is complete bullshit. As you admit later in the thread, I've never used Ashley Madison. If you want to attack me or my politics, that's fine, but leave my wife and children out of it, you disgusting hack." In a series of tweets, he continued denying the claims made by Windsor. He further added that he was single in 2014, which according to Windsor was the year that he made the profile. I'm reading this more closely, and the accusation is that I signed up for Ashley Madison in 2014, used it in an attempt to fool around on the mother of my children, and that my 8-year-old signed up for Ashley Madison, expanded. That was never an accusation. That's you adding that. Rufo concluded by stating that this was a smear campaign against him and that he had forwarded this matter to his attorney. Republican politician Mark Robinson's email address was reportedly found and registered with Ashley Madison. Now, according to the dump, it's true there's a defense, I think, on the behalf of Christopher Rufo that they didn't, in fact, need email verification on the other end, which would be a little less concrete if that's the case. Although part of me also wonders why there isn't 1,000 conservatives registered on Ashley Madison then, if it was just that easy to do. But for example, Ashley Madison data leak. In August 2015, a hacking group leaked more than 25 gigabytes of Ashley Madison data. This is the old leak, by the way, including user details. Below, you can search for an index version of the data. Please remember that Ashley Madison did not verify email addresses, and therefore presence of data in the database is not proof that a person registered at the site. So that's part of it, right? So his registration was just by email, which again, if it was simply registered by email, that one would actually point towards not being 100% the smoking gun that everyone was looking for. So new information, which I'm not going to blow up and put on screen because I think hacked information is a no-no on Twitch or Twitter, on Twitch, but I will just keep it minimized for now. Following the law Windsor's reporting, Windsor's reporting, I have additional evidence that the real Chris Rufo was a Ashley Madison user in 2014. Whoever created the account in question did so in Topanga, where Chris used to live, and which is also related to him deleting his tweets about Topanga. The birthday on the account is also matching Chris's. I downloaded the original data dump from 2015, searched for Chris Rufo in there, along with additional useful information. There's a sign up, lat and long, a manually entered city name, and a birthday field, all of which match Christopher Rufo himself and what stuff he would have had to put in to enter. The latitude and longitude, which shouldn't be taken as exact, but merely approximations, are in Topanga, which matches the city name that was entered at sign up. I spent the last this is the deleted tweet. I spent 5 years living in Berkeley and Topanga Canyon, California, and have a soft spot for hippies, burnouts, and yogi. They're mostly harmless, but DEI people are cancer, envious, entitled, and destructive. They want to tear down society and the taxpayers' dime. This isn't related in any way to Ashley Madison, which I'm not entirely sure why you would delete this one if it has nothing to do with the Ashley Madison leak, but either way, I mean, it could be completely unrelated. The birthday on the account is close, August 15th, 1984, which is August 26th, 1984. That could also be, that's the one present on his Wikipedia page. They are quite close. Perhaps it's misclicked or you just didn't want to slightly disguise his identity. You can replicate my work using this link here. Whoever signed up and used the username completely casual 1114 for the nickname. Maybe that's the sort of relationship Chris was looking for in 2014. It looks like another source has beaten me to the punch on this one. It appears they came to the same exact conclusions. So this was Stephen Monticelli, who follows me. Cool. Let's follow each other. Who's been investigating this since. I can independently confirm the same email address Christopher Rufo used to fill out paperwork in 2018 Seattle City Council candidacy appears to be the 2015 Ashley Madison data leak, came years before Christopher Rufo was a public figure. Unclear to me why anyone would have created an Ashley Madison account using Chris Rufo's email years before he was a public figure. This is now getting into the entire Mark Robinson of it all, because Mark Robinson also is claiming that none of the stuff that was posted in all those internet forums, all the horny, all the piss drinking, all the I am Hitler shit, none of that actually was him. It's being done by malicious actors. This is fake news. This is being done to discredit me. And again, the serial killer from 7 level of patience that you would have to just pre-plan a lot of these things, similar to Russell Brand or Drake Defense, right? Where it's like, so years ago, they planted all of these stories of you being an incredible creep before you really blew up and became as famous as you did in order to be able to attack you later on, where it really feels a lot more like a lot of these right-wing people, they do a lot of this shit and they kind of have this feeling that they can get away with it. Like Mark Robinson was horny posting to degrees of which you would not think any person acceptably would have in their own mind that I could become a public figure now. Like, I'm a 40-year-old, I'm going to go on the internet, I'm going to post about how much I love drinking my sister-in-law's piss, how I love Hitler and stuff like that. And you know what? I am feeling that maybe I should be a public servant now. Yeah. Should I delete all of that stuff? Ooh. I mean, that's a lot of work. Got to go back, log in, hit delete. Maybe it's an old forum, so you got to do it manually, one by one. A lot of time. Then no one's gonna connect the dots. If they do, it's fake news. Just remember that it's fake news. So but the fact that this account was created in 2014, the account does seem to be with their IP directed to the area that now Chris is trying to erase from the internet that he had gone to. The fact that it had happened prior to him becoming a public figure, so that there's no real way that people would have been, even if it was Antifa super soldiers who were trying to just be like, haha, this guy, he wants to cheat on the wife he doesn't have yet, which again is part of the story that now is becoming more clear. They would have had to do that knowing full well that he would become a very prominent far-right public figure, that he in fact was going to become one, so this could become damning down the road. I mean, again, the patience that some of these Antifa super soldiers have to be able to plant these stories years before these people ever become famous is mind-boggling and impressive, but also most likely not true. I mean, again, if Yalcum's razor this one, it seems a lot more likely with all this evidence that's piling up that, in fact, Christopher Rufo had created this account a long time ago. And there's no shame if you were single and you weren't looking to cheat on your wife to join dating sites. There's no shame in that whatsoever. In fact, if anything, we may have gotten the story wrong that the woman that is now, confirmed by you to have been an undocumented immigrant that you illegally brought into the United States, all that kind of stuff, that part could be separate from you trying to use Ashley Madison in 2014 to find relationships. I mean, people look for love in strange areas. But yeah, time hackers is a great way of being like, as we go on. I don't know if you saw, Chris Rufo had a really extensive public meltdown over this. And he actually started posting that one of, I guess maybe his fans or someone else who follows him showed him, hey, by the way, that journalist who exposed you apparently has an OnlyFans account, but she never signed up for OnlyFans. Looks like anyone can sign up for this and use her real legal name. So you see the same thing, right? Look, maybe you should. And then Christopher Rufo posted that as some big old see, anyone can do this. I've been improperly signed up for an account again from an IP that was located where I was at the time, using an email that wasn't famous at the time, and I wasn't a public figure at the time. Again, how would someone have been able to get your personal email knowing that if they're real patient, you might turn out to be a creep years down the road, and then just start using Ashley Madison with logs and everything in a way to try and plant that for years later? I mean, I got a bridge to sell you here. Christopher Rufo unfortunately blocked Stephen Monticelli for his reporting. And if you're going to 1984 cancel culture someone, it makes you look more guilty. But what do you have to hide, Christopher Rufo? Chris Rufo blocked me after I pointed out that he is falsely claiming his email isn't in the Ashley Madison leak database. His email can be found via 2 different searches and can be replicated by anyone. Here's how you look. There's a website for anyone who wants to. You can look up whether or not, your friend, partner, spouse, lover may be in the Ashley Madison leak. If you're having an affair, I don't know why you're still trusting the Ashley Madison database for this, but good job. I cannot help but notice that Chris Rufo is now leaning into misogyny as he lays into the women who first reported his email was in the Ashley Madison data leak while he refuses to engage with me. Pathetic. So here's what I was talking about. What's this? Hey, check it out, Chris. This person, Laura Windsor, has OnlyFans account. Haha, but I bet she didn't make it. Wow. An OnlyFans account has been registered under the name Lauren Windsor. It might not be Lauren Windsor, the operative who orchestrated the Youngkin Nazi hoax, but it's definitely registered in the name Lauren Windsor. This is serious. This is not how people who have nothing to hide respond. This is people going on the attack because shit's not looking great, and it's getting worse as time goes on. But again, I think Chris will walk away from this unscathed. I think that big name journalists don't have enough of the pieces yet to conclusively put a Daily Beast story together and put it out there. They're missing probably 1 or 2 more links that can definitively be like, okay. So, I mean, they have but to perhaps speak to and get a quote from someone who used to work there to be able to verify this. And then at that point, it'll be in Mother Jones, it'll be in Daily Beast, it'll be in a lot of other places. But as of right now, you're at the early stages when you have to deal with the scumfucks of the internet. Like me, who would love to cover this kind of shit because, man, is Christopher Rufo ever an asshole who would never, ever grant anyone clemency in the other direction. This is the guy who announced that he was going to get intellectuals, especially people of color, fired from their positions specifically for what he was going to plant where, the stories of them, the engaged in plagiarism. And he's like, this is the play. Here's what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden, weeks later, Claudine Gay is getting fired because of her pretty intense plagiarism. And what do you know? Christopher Rufo announced the play, did the play, and the media just buys it. Because then Jake Tapper the next day will be like, I'm not entirely sure who this Christopher Rufo is, but apparently there is evidence, he says, of plagiarism at the highest levels. We should report on that. Let's go with that story. That's the story we'll talk about. Maybe Chris Rufo refuses to engage with me because he knows that I would tell him the reason Havel bin Pwned isn't a valid source for his claim that his email doesn't appear in Ashley Madison data leak is that the leak is not publicly searchable and Havel bin Pwned. Ashley Madison. In July 2015, the infidelity website Ashley Madison suffered a serious data breach. The attackers threatened Ashley Madison with the full disclosure of the breach unless the service was shut down. 1 month later, the database was dumped, including more than 30 million unique email addresses. This breach has been classed as sensitive and is not publicly searchable, although individuals may discover if they've been impacted by registering for notifications. Read about this approach in detail. Here's how it's done. This one, unfortunately, debunks a little bit of the, well, anyone could have registered my email address back in 2014. It wasn't me. It was Antifa super soldier kind of plan. Looking a little weaker there. Regardless, check MashleyAddison.com website. Rufo claims as evidence that the reporting is fake. I can confirm it's a broken website. None of the emails I have found in the raw data of the Ashley Madison data leak return a match when searched on this site. Uh-oh, Chris. The chips are falling. Chris Rufo is now threatening a woman he likely falsely claimed has an OnlyFans account with legal action. Curiously, I haven't received the same legal threats for my reporting. He picks his targets. The play is not over. You are not the director. And scene. I love this. I love when he quote tweets himself and says, case closed. It's like, well, by the way, I've contacted my legal team and they'll be looking into this. And don't worry, soon everything will be sorted. Quote tweet, case closed. I got him. I did it. So this is done with. More details I've confirmed about Chris Rufo's email address appearing in the Ashley Madison leak, something he denies is real. The raw data shows that the profile link to Rufo's email account links Topanga, California's location. Rufo said he lived in Topanga in a now deleted post. Why would you delete this if the location is showing it to be you? Again, was registered at a time when you weren't a public figure, famous, or anyone would have known who the fuck you are. I'm sorry, this is not how life works, okay? As much as I want to give credit to the Antifa super soldiers and brave soldiers and the gay furry hackers and all the awesome people in the world who do take down creeps like this, they're also not planting stories 10 years in advance for people they have no idea who they are, hoping that person in the future may turn out to be a scumfuck. Like, just hoping that it's, oh, this person's going to be super evil down the road. And if they are, we got them. Just pre-planning. A virtual nobody. like just grabbing random emails and going through all of this work and trouble. There's a lot more important work to be done than going through this much trouble. Not only has Rufo said that he lived in Topanga, he said that he lived there during Marianne Williamson's congressional run, which was in 2014. The Ashley Madison data leak was in 2015. All of Rufo's posts about living in Topanga have been deleted. He deleted all of them? What? She actually has a good take on the declaration too. Surprising. Now cover the takes on depression, vaccines, and weight shaming. Don't get me wrong. Williamson would be a terrible president for those reasons and others. I'm simply pointing out that she has, to my surprise, made a few points during her campaign. I lived in her district in Los Angeles when she was running for Congress, so I know her backstory and community. Wow, you went through the trouble of scrubbing this. But again, it's something that innocent people do when they have nothing to hide. Don't look any closer. Don't look any closer at all. 2014, Williamson ran, blah, 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 13% of the vote in the same district, and now no results for Topanga. So he's specifically gotten rid of every single one of his tweets he has. Can't be nothing, probably. Rufo also talked about living in Topanga during an episode of Joe Rogan's podcast. Okay, here's another account that came to the same conclusion by looking into the Ashley Madison data leak. Here we are. Once more, and one more thing that is broken about check AshleyMadison.com website that Chris Rufo's lawyer, Harmeet Dillon, claimed as proof that Rufo's email address wasn't in the Ashley Madison data leak. The source code suggests it doesn't do anything by design. The website isn't just broken, it doesn't do anything by design and hasn't since 2016, according to the Wayback Machine. It only returns results if you search for Josh Ducker, a couple of boobs, emails, addresses, the loading delay. This is not a defense. What the fuck? How? Lawyers, man. Some lawyers are just like, I got this. I got you. It'll cost you. It's going to be expensive, but don't worry. Oof, I got it. We got a website. What's the website? Well, this website, when you search for it, will show that your email can pop up, but you never had to do an email verification, aka you weren't actually actively participating in the website, which you weren't, right? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Pay me money. More money, please. Okay, nice. Oh, the money makes me feel warm and fuzzy. So don't answer that. Don't worry about that. We got a website. The website's good. It's solid. And basically, people can go to that website. It'll show that, yes, in fact, your email address does show, but anyone's could. And so because of this website that we got, that's totally legit and works and is real, this will totally absolve you of everything. I know it doesn't sound ironclad, but that doesn't matter. We'll freak them out. See, I'm going to send them a very scary email, this so-called journalist, and we can start a whole thing about it. We can be like, you're trying to get smeared. It's a smear job. You never did this. This is Antifa. These are super soldiers. They're trying to put your email address in places that it doesn't belong. Look at the website. We got a website. Again, legitimate. I'll need some more money, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'll need a lot more money. And then we can proceed with the very, very real protections I will provide you. So the fact that he scrubbed all of his tweets about living in an area where the registered email address and activity in the website was being done in, which is verifiable in the actual data dump, not this weird website that he's now using to say, hey, by the way, anyone can say, you didn't do your homework. Silly serfs. Silly Lance, trying to find leaks and links where they don't exist. Well, I would say some journalists have done a lot more legwork in this and allowed for jabronis, myself, on the internet to laugh at you as a result of this, because yeah, ain't no way in fucking hell Antifa or some left-wing insurgent or something went through the trouble of taking your email address when no one knew who the fuck you were, signing you up for the infidelity website, and then having that account remain, and then just do nothing for generations until eventually you came along, made a name for yourself with the whole critical race theory is racist against whites. We need to stop critical race theory. I'm a very serious human. And then all of a sudden you blew up, and then you went after trans people, you went after gay people, you did the groomer panic, you did all these other panics, you did the DEI thing. You had a lot of success on the right of being this kind of like open and brazen troll operative, kind of like a Project Veritas that gets fucking results. That's who Chris Rufo is. While at the same time, all of your shit, vilifying gays, vilifying LGBTQ plus folk, vilifying immigrants when you yourself were married to an undocumented immigrant. Oh my God, Chris. But it didn't turn out that you may have been a little horny posting back in the day. So there's that. Like, yeah, this motherfucker looks like a Meat Canyon cartoon. And so Meat Canyon was like, I did the thing. And so here it is, everybody. Wanted Meat Canyon's art. This is you know, when they say life imitates art and then art imitates life. So the cycle went back and forth. But you know what's wild about this? As horrifying and nightmarish and talented, unbelievably talented as the artist Meat Canyon is, Charlie Kirk remains undefeated. He's still scarier than the picture. Like, if one of these two monsters haunted you at night, one of them is going to be like, you wake up in the middle of the night, you have to piss or something, you're like, ugh, you're a little disoriented, you're going through, and then you hear a little crack around the corner, and there's something in the hallway. Which of these two would you rather coming at you? And I will tell you, pound for pound, this one, all right? It seems like there's a lot of weak spots. If this was a video game boss, this is what I would target immediately. This would be my first chance. It's like, what do you want to target? I would be gums. Oh, go for the gums. Yeah, do I have anything? Garlic. Yeah, I got garlic. So I throw garlic at gums, kind of part, right? Defeatable. This one, this seems like a shape-shifting chameleon whose face is going to progressively shrink as you battle them, and it's going to become harder and harder. And just when you think you're making progress, you're only in phase one of the bosses, and then all of a sudden he like flashes colors and then morphs maybe into this or something into far worse. We don't know. There's a lot more potential for, you know, disturbing different modes on this boss, but yeah, there's that. Anyways, the reason I bring up Charlie Kirk and his ever-shrinking face is because this is an awesome video, especially for all the racists, the 1350s, the people out there, you know, actual justice warrior, Ben Shapiro, Sam Harris, all the weirdos who love being like, look, I'm not racist. I don't hate black people. I've got nothing against black people, but we need to be accurate and factual in our statements and observing police data. It is true that black people make up 13% of the population, and yet they're responsible for over 50% of violent murders. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? That tells me that you're trying to point something out, sir. I mean, I think we know already because of science, race doesn't exist. So this would be indicative of something else, some broader trend going on, right? But you tell me what you mean by that. Oh, no. I'm not saying that black people are genetically predisposed towards violent crime. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that there's probably something cultural going on, right? We can point towards the hip-hop music, all right? We can point towards the low-hanging pants, towards the fatherless homes. These are the reasons why. I'm not measuring skulls. That's the old age, all right? We moved on to it's the cultural thing now. So it is quite concerning. And like, when it comes from, obviously, a Charlie Kirk, everyone can easily debunk it and be like, yeah, well, this is just factually incorrect because of blank, right? But when it comes to people like Sam Harris, who come from an academic standpoint and talk very calmly and into a microphone, nice and low-voiced and welcome, we're going to be honest today and talk about how there are a lot of differences in cultural expectations within society. And while doing so, we need to, of course, admit that there's, without distinction, going to be some forms of systemic hurdles or difficulties that African Americans have to get through in society. But we cannot ignore the data. And the data is sometimes frightening. As, again, a neurosurgeon, I can say that there are moments in my career that I want to, because it's morally convenient to ignore what the data may show. But that's why at this moment, and you'll get an entire, oh look, it's the race and IQ guy. He's back. He's here. It's Charles Murray. What you doing here, Charles Murray? You've been laughed out of academia. No, he's back on Sam Harris's podcast, and they're talking about how black people have low IQs and how they have lower IQs than white people. And that's a really fucked up and profoundly strange thing to say. Again, when there's like scientists, good scientists in the 70s who debunked this flat out when it was announced, like as soon as the book came out, just being like, listen to Stephen G. Gould talk about it, and like he just very calmly is just like, what is this indicative of? You are showing a standardized testing system. People in different areas are performing worse at a standardized test. What does that tell you? Does it tell you that one person has inherently less intelligence than another group, as you've worded it? Or does it show you economic levels, access to information, scholastic levels, access to schools, all that kind of shit? That would indicate to me what data showing that certain groups or demographics in certain areas of the United States are performing worse at. Wouldn't it show you the same thing? But no, people are willing to be like, look, this is, again, very difficult conversation stuff. Well, here's the part of the story that you often don't hear, and it's again, facts, logic, and science. Charlie Kirk gets absolutely destroyed by someone with triple-digit IQ here.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. For example, blacks are 13% of the population, and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Okay. Let's talk about it. These are obviously racist claims, but I will respond to them as if Charlie Kirk were a reasonable person.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Wrong. Just 38% of America's prison population is black. That's according to the US government. But it makes you wonder why Charlie feels the need to add an additional 12% to the black prison population. Could it be because his bigoted talking points only work if he exaggerates them? If Charlie were actually looking for the race that makes up half the prison population in the US, he'd look no further than white people at 57%.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do.
Wrong. The word so is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
So blacks commit more crimes.
He's saying so, as in therefore, as in one could conclude, but Charlie knows he's lying. Even if he hadn't just lied about the black prison population, Charlie is smart enough to know that correlation does not equal causation, but he's hoping that you don't know that. So he deploys the word so to make you think he's coming to an obvious conclusion.
So blacks
Instead, he's making an illogical, racist leap. Charlie knows that we don't have usable data about who commits crimes. It's impossible to have that data since so many crimes go both unreported and or unsolved. Charlie knows that we only have data about arrests and convictions. I'll come back to that data in a moment. What's painfully obvious is that Charlie Kirk isn't interested in understanding the statistics he so carelessly misquotes. He's interested in making bad faith arguments. Something that becomes even more obvious in his next point.
blacks are 13% of the population, and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Wrong again, and loud this time. If Charlie were interested in honesty, he would have mentioned the other 1350 statistic. Yes, black people are about 13% of the population, but make up 53% of all criminal exonerations.
I have never in my life, in my career of covering the far right, heard a single far right 1350 racist ass reactionary ever mention this. Not once. Of course not, because it's really, really damaging to your argument. When all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, wait, what? Yeah, more so than any other group. Any other group in America, black people specifically are going to be falsely accused of a crime they didn't commit. More than any other group. So what about that?
In fact, black people make up 55% of all murder exonerations. Specifically, black people are more likely than any other group in this country to be convicted of crimes they did not commit. And then people like you have the nerve to parade these stats around as though they prove something. The reality is that you probably know these stats, but you leave them out on purpose, because to bring that stat into this conversation would make some people think. And that's the last thing a person like you wants.
So at Garrison Hayes, by the way, GarrisonHayes, if you want more intelligent, incredibly well-spoken and crafted debunkings of nonsense, racist-ass statistics, because it's so easy just to go down the 1350 road. Like Sam Harris, I don't think when he started his whole I'm going to be part of the intellectual dark web journey was looking from start, like, you know, right out of the jump to be one of these assholes spreading, again, dangerous misinformation and recalibrating it in such a way that it's palatable for the modern age, right? Where a lot of people have kind of moved on beyond the whole kind of like, oh, there's differences between the races and IQs. We can all agree now that that's kind of just modern day phrenology, right? Like I like saying that IQ is astrology for incels. That's kind of what it feels like in the modern age. But the 1350 thing is one that the Charlie Kirks, the Ben Shapiros, they will always safely try and rest on. And that, like, well, how do you explain this? And honestly, it's a very, very difficult, long conversation to be able to have to explain everything from the history of systemic oppression, racism, slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, all these kind of things that continue to perpetuate and exacerbate poverty as well as crime. Poverty and crime are directly linked, and there seems to be an inconsistent impoverishment of the black community. And as a result of that impoverishment of the black community, they are consistently going to appear in higher rates of, say, actions of violent crime and stuff like that. The same thing can be demonstratable in Canada with the Indigenous community. Indigenous people in Canada are overwhelmingly, dramatically overrepresented in every single facet of the criminal justice system. This doesn't point towards some kind of genetic default. This points towards a lot of other factors. But like that, all the things I just said, very long, very wordy, very boring. Half the people already tuned out. You're already talking to someone who's just like, yeah, but like, why do they keep committing all the crime? Explain it. And it's like, you know, something that you never want to touch on, though, is the other part of this, which is that, again, if we look at that same statistics, black people are going to be the people more often than not who are accused of crimes they didn't commit.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood. With additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.